Hello and welcome to the LOGOS Greek course. Today is based off of week 2, but it will be our review day. And we are going to go ahead and start reviewing with the Greek alphabet. So let's go ahead and get into that. And I'll go ahead and put in the letters that are missing from the first one. And we'll go ahead and start that off. Now I'm going to pick on someone a little bit just because I know that she's already done this. So guess what? Somebody.
I only know the names. I don't.
That's okay. That's okay. Would you mind leading us in the wonderful alphabet song?
I can't do it I can't do it songish.
You can't do it songish?
I can do it all together, but I can't do it songish.
Well, just do it all together.
Okay. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, comma, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, p, rho, sigma, tau.
I'm saying
you're fine. Tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega.
Really close.
Okay. Question on the one you said was,
Did I
got it
do
down
one
as
wrong?
kappa.
Yeah, there was a few of them that you mispronounced, so let me go ahead and grab those.
Then I need to get, okay.
Okay, the first one was technically mispronounced. Does anyone remember how that one's pronounced?
Alpha.
Alpha, yeah. There is no a sound in Greek.
So it's alpha?
Alpha.
Alpha.
Alpha. Yeah.
Alpha, beta.
Like all of them phas.
Okay, that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm Americanizing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no a sound in Greek, so they can't say cat or hat or that.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa,
Kappa, yes.
lambda,
No?
lambda,
Lambda. Lambda.
lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, p, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon,
Mm-hmm.
phi, chi, psi, omega.
Omega.
Okay.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
need to
The
get
main ones that I was worried about was the alpha, kappa, and lambda. Yeah.
alpha, kappa. Okay.
I need to get their symbols.
Oh. I need to get more round in my throat, in my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. Getting used to the ah instead of the ah is really, really hard. And frankly, I fall into the same trap. If I'm not being careful and I'm reading through Greek, I'll say it with an ah sound instead of ah.
But I did get them in order, right?
You did get them in order.
And
Yes,
I
you
didn't
did.
forget any.
And you did not leave any out.
Okay, good.
So you're good on that one.
Yeah. She helped me though. I could hear that.
Yes, as we've discussed before, there are always those students. All right, so let's go ahead and do this sing song. So you guys will hopefully repeat after me, and if not, just hum a few bars and you'll be good. All right, so we'll just work on sets of 4 at a time. Especially when you're starting out, it's hard to get much more than that. So sets of 4. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta.
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 Wow, you guys actually sound halfway decent. We can have this for our next church special. I keep trying to get them to go for this, and they just never do.
I'll be sick.
Yeah, that's the day I'm just not able to come for some reason yet. All right, so next 4. Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
I love it. And skip. That's okay. Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
Yeah, theta.
Okay.
Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
Or it's actually sounding pretty decent. One more time, just to be sure. Yeah. or 27.5, depending on who you are. That was me. Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
Epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
It's always easier when someone else is doing it.
Can I write the pronunciations? Do you guys have that?
Yes, it is.
It's in your notes.
It's in the notes.
Oh, where?
That's
Week
a
2,
little-
page 1.
Yeah, week 2, page 1. Oh yeah, that would be kind of good to know.
Right there in the parentheses, you just did the first 4 and then the next 4. So you got alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. How do you guys know this? Yes. So, like I said before, thank you guys for helping each other out and knowing where things are. It's very helpful. All right. So let's put both of those sets of 4 together here. So I'll do all 8 together, and then you guys will follow. Mac looks really concerned. 8? That's, yeah. Okay. So alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta.
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 Nice. All right, let's move on to the next 4. I have no idea. It's just letters. It's just letters. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything right now. It's just letters. That's all it is.
Yours goes across.
Yes, goes across. Do not read them down. You will mess yourself up. Yeah, it goes from left to right, same as in English. Which makes Greek a whole lot easier to learn than Hebrew, because Hebrew goes the other way.
No, it does.
Yes, it does. Yeah, Hebrew is just backwards all kinds of ways. It's fun to hand somebody a Greek copy of the Old Testament because it's backwards, and they'll try to figure out what the title is, and they turn it over like 3 times. It's great.
Where are we here?
Can't figure out where the front of this thing is. All right, next 4. Iota, kappa, lambda, mu. Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Exactly. All right, now let's put all 12 together. So I'll go through all 12, and then you'll follow with all 12. And remember, you have cheat sheets. Use them.
I got it.
You got that right.
Amen.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta. Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta. Iota, kappa, lambda, mu.
Say the
Sorry, I did that.
iota.
Iota. Iota. Yeah. Kind of like Eeyore, but not. Iota. Yeah, iota. Fantastic. All right, next 4. This is the one, well, one of the double consonants. There's 2 double consonants. I'll put those in boxes. And these ones are called double consonants because they're actually made up of 2 other consonants. The first one there that looks kind of like a weird E or backwards 3, that one is xi. Xi, yep. You really got to get your tongue into it. Xi. Yeah. And that is actually made of kappa and sigma put together. So you have the k sound from the kappa, the s sound from the sigma, so xi when you put it together, xi. And then the other one is p and sigma put together, so it has a p sound and then the s, so it's psi. Like the ps in lips, psi. Yeah. So you always got to watch. Sorry.
No. The one that looks like pie?
The one down here lower right, I'll try to put a double box on it. That one's psi.
Oh, okay.
And then this one is
I see it
xi.
here. I was looking at in the same box. Of
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit further on.
I'm following now.
Sorry. I wasn't clear about that. I apologize. Yeah, but those two are what are called double consonants. If they occur in the middle of a word, you have to separate the consonants out. So you'll have kappa on one side, sigma on the other side, or p on one side, sigma on the other side.
For the double consonant.
For the double consonants.
I've had pi equals 3.14 on my board now for 2 weeks. I am not about to tell them it's pronounced P.
Oh, I do not blame you. You've got fourth graders?
8-year-old boys.
Yes, exactly.
No.
But it's not literally the same thing, is it? Or is
It's
the
P.
pie?
Pronunciation
It's P.
is all that matters to them.
Right, but the pie that I'm referring to, it's
Is
Greek.
this.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's a mathematical term.
Mhm.
It's a Greek.
Yeah, a lot of math terms are actually borrowed from the Greek.
No kidding.
Yeah, like almost every special math symbol was borrowed from the Greeks. Yeah, yeah. Phi, p, sigma, tau is used. Pretty much every letter is used in math. Because hey, we ran out of English letters in the alphabet, so we started borrowing from the Greek.
Right?
Yeah.
A and B can only equal so much.
Yeah, and that is another thing that we discovered last time, is that how we pronounce these words is according to what is called the Erasmian pronunciation, which is the scholar's form. What you usually hear in a math class is modern Greek. So they say pi, but the Erasmian Greek is p. Yeah. All right, so next four. Nu, xi, omicron, p.
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 One more time. Nu, xi, omicron, p.
Nu, xi, omicron, P.
Fantastic.
Those are kind of bland, but I like it. And they rhyme also.
There you go. All right, now, guess what we're going to do?
The next
All
16.
All 4 sets of 4, 16. All right, so I'll go through all 16, and then you guys will follow. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, p.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, P.
Good. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, p.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, P.
See, we are going to get that song down yet. Perfect for offertory.
It's a different tune, just saying.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. There's only so much I could do with
Alphabet song tune.
Doesn't quite work with this.
Right, too many syllables.
Yeah. Yeah. Greek.
Jingle bells.
Jingle bells. The Greek alphabet to jingle bells, yeah.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta. What song is that?
A, B, C,
Is that
D.
Jesus loves me or is that the alphabet?
It's alphabetic.
Okay, I was like, I'm not sure.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta. I don't know. I'm trying something.
You're doing good.
All right, I'll work on that.
That'll be the homework for next week, is trying to figure out how to put that to another tune. Ooh, that would be fun. Everyone has to come up with a different tune.
I like it.
So bring your guitar.
Okay.
That song.
All right, next four. We have, it looks like a P, but it's really basically the letter R. Ro. And then the next one is sigma, and sigma actually has two forms. This is the middle form. The one that is at the end of words basically looks like a C with a little tail.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
right
there we
there.
go.
Yeah.
Start of a word, end of a word.
Yeah. And then we have tau, which is basically just a T. And then this one, if you want to be accurate about the pronunciation, is a real pain. It's technically upsilon. Upsilon, but nobody speaks like that, so most people just say upsilon. Yeah, upsilon. It's actually a little bit more throatal. Upsilon, but no one says it really like that.
I'm not throwing.
No.
I like the word next to it, ew.
Yeah.
That's how I learned to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. All right, so let's go through these four. Rho, sigma, tau, upsilon.
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 Ah, it's almost like they know it. It's great. All right, you guys ready for this next one?
You can hear the people on the recording seeing it at home, so.
Exactly, right.
They have it lucky.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so now all of them together, I'll go through all of the 5 sets of 4. So the first 20 there, and then you guys will follow. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon.
One more time. Alpha, beta,
gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon.
You guys are never going to learn how to pronounce C correctly, but that's okay.
Well, we're trying.
I know. It's hard to say it as one
How
sound.
do you say it?
Xi. What I'm hearing, though, is a lot of people saying kasi. They're putting it as
So
2
the K is
syllables.
almost
You blend
inside your
Xi.
mouth.
Yeah.
Blend the two
Xi.
together.
Yeah.
Xi.
Xi. Yeah. It is hard to get with
It's like
the
saying
double
letter
consonants.
X.
It's a lot like the letter X. It basically is the letter X. Yeah. All right. Next 4. Phi is the first one, and it's basically an O with the vertical line. Then you get ki, and everyone mispronounces it because it's transliterated CH. That doesn't have a CH sound. It's actually more of a hard K sound. It's like the CH in Loch, like Loch Ness Monster.
Or the
Yeah.
CK in rock.
But there's no, yeah, you don't transliterate it with a K
No,
though.
you don't, but that's the sound.
Yeah, it's kind of the sound, yeah. Yeah, so there's phi, which is transliterated PH. Then there's ki, which is translated CH, but it doesn't have a CH sound. Then there's the next double consonant, which is always hard to wrap your tongue around. Psi, psi, yeah. And then omega. It's not ega.
Omega.
Yeah,
Omega.
omega.
Not omega.
Not a yeah, omega is the modern pronunciation. Omega is the Erasmian pronunciation, which is what we're using. Omega. Omega. Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and go through this. I'll do a set of 4. You guys will follow after. Phi, ki, psi, omega.
P, psi, omega.
Okay. First one is phi, like in fee, fi, fo, fum. Phi.
I see. I think it said P.
Yep. That's okay.
Oh, that's
It's easy to make a mistake on that one. In fact, a lot of times people will confuse these two as far as their sounds because they're really
Your
close.
son's name is Phoenix.
Well, that'll do it.
That's Phoenix.
Yeah. All right. So phi, ki, psi, omega.
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 Yeah, that one does not go well with the lyrics at all.
No.
Yeah, too many syllables.
It's that.
Oh, well. And too many sounds that are too similar, too far together, and the consonants are weird. All right, so let's put it all together, all 24 letters. All right, I'll go through it first, of course, then you guys can follow after. Remember, big breath. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega.
All right, one more time. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. I don't expect you guys to do it that fast.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega.
And that's the... There we
So every
go.
time Mark preaches it in his sermon, since he's doing Revelation, we can all go, Omega! We've got to do
Really
that.
throw people
We've got to do it. It will just crack him up.
All right, so how are you guys feeling about the Greek alphabet now? Would you give it a thumbs up, a middle, or a bottom?
Better.
Where would you guys be? Okay, it's about halfway in the middle for some.
I memorized it, and I
Doing
have to
better,
memorize it with the correct pronunciations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps.
That's why I said it was
Doing better.
Tentative.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Would you guys like to go through it a few more times before we move on to something else? Yeah. Yes. All right. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega.
You do not know how much good that does my heart.
Mine too.
Hear you guys get through the alphabet, because easily this lesson is the hardest out of all of them, because you guys aren't going to have to learn morphology. Normally that's the hardest. But for what you guys are doing, this is easily the hardest stuff, so if you can get this, the rest of it's going to be a breeze. It really will be. So if you can get this, you can get anything, at least as far as this class is concerned. Now, if you take it from someone like Daniel Wallace or Dr. White, yeah, that's a whole other story. But you're not taking it from them, you're taking it from me. So I let people cheat. I give them cheat sheets and parsing codes.
Yeah, I'll do this, and then we'll look at Dr. Later.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I can look at that later.
Is it a little intense?
I bet it is. He's smart though. He's.
All right, so that is the alphabet. Now, when we're pronouncing words, of course, the important thing to remember is when you're pronouncing the words, it's just the first sound of each word. You're not saying the whole syllable when you say the word, of course. So it's just the first sound of each one of the letters that you actually sound out in a word. So let's see if we can find some examples here. All right, so For example, down here at the bottom, we have beta, alpha, and gamma. But we don't say beta, alpha, gamma. That's not the word. It's just the first sounds. So beta sounds with a b sound. So b. Alpha sounds like starts out with an a sound. And then gamma is g. So b, a, g. B, a, g. Bog. What we in English would say is bog, a swamp, something like that. All right, and then taking a stab at the next one, we have the capital form of gamma, which looks nothing like the lowercase form, which is weird. But the capital form of gamma, alpha, delta. God, you were exactly right. So g, a, d. God.
So she might be like ahead of it or not.
No, it's just that she does music a lot, and if you do music a lot, you'll pick up on sounds faster. That was always one of the annoying things in certain classes. I'd have the music people, and they'd go through and they'd get things like that, and the other people are saying, I can't still pronounce this silly thing. Yeah. And I was one of the ones who was sitting there in the back going, I still can't pronounce the silly thing. So it took me forever. Upsilon was one of the hardest ones to get.
It reminds me too of one of those secret code things that you used to do, like the kids' pages where there was like a symbol and then you had to
Stood for something else.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of a bit too.
It's a puzzle. I can figure it out. It's great.
Mine needs to be, yeah. I'm trying to equate it to the alphabet, and you can't do that.
No.
It's just got to be.
That's
Yeah,
that's
two
the
letters.
trouble, yeah, because that's what I'm doing.
There's no A, B, C, D.
Once they get it in English, it'll be
That's why we're having the class.
Maybe, just maybe. All right, let's do the next ones. Delta, epsilon, theta. But of course, we're just interested in the first sound. So d, e, th, d, f, death. Yep. Little grim for a Greek class, but
Okay, it's what a lot in the Bible though.
that does show up a lot in the Bible.
But it is.
Death. Yep, death. All right, and then, Lindsay, you're new. You want to try the next one?
Dog.
Good guess, but no.
Oh.
So we have delta, eta, and then zeta. Days. Yep. And we actually have two, in English there's multiple words that are pronounced that way. So it could also be the D-A-Y-S, because they sound the same, so in Greek you'd transliterate them the same. But yeah, D-A-Z, D-A-Z, delta, eta, zeta, days.
So is there words like of and to in the Greek language? I mean,
What do you mean?
like God of
the Bible.
love is of.
There's the idea is certainly there. What you're talking about with being, God of the Bible, that is what we would call the genitive, and so that actually winds up going at the end of the word. They'll change the end of it to tell you that it means of.
Oh, okay. Like
So they don't actually have a separate
they
word for
describe
of.
it first and then
Yes.
say what it is.
So yeah, it would be
Like love God.
yeah that in Greek, depending on where it was in the sentence, it'd basically be theos agapes. It'd be in what we call a genitive form for the love, the agape, which is agapes, and that's what tells you it'd be of love, God of love.
Okay.
What's this genitive?
We will get to that. We haven't even gotten to that
I'm
yet.
getting ahead of the class.
Yes, you're getting ahead of the class.
Oh,
Yeah, there's lots of helping words that we have to put in English.
Like ace, that's
Yeah.
I sat in front of the class, I sat in the back.
Yeah, she is 30 and we are older.
It's making more sense than I thought it was going to. That's,
It's actually not too bad once you can get through the alphabet and things like that, though.
I know the next word.
Yep. Yes, you probably do.
because we did it last
Yes, you did do it last
No,
time.
I didn't I had to look at each individual one and write it down.
Yeah. Huh?
Milk.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Mu, iota, lambda, kappa. So m, I, u, k. Milk. And no, that is not actually the Greek word for milk. It's just the English word put into Greek characters.
Cool.
It's easier to start off that way with words we know. All right.
Oh wait, can you go back? I missed the H. I missed the skip
H.
J's.
Nay.
Yep. That's just the name of the set.
Oh.
Yeah, and those are completely arbitrary. They will change from person to person. I call them the skip J's because it's like the English alphabet except you skip J because there is no J.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Iota Kappa Lambda Mu, there's no J.
Gotcha.
Yeah, those are completely arbitrary. All right, and then, Mac, why don't you take this next one, the Nu Eta Pi. Nu Eta Pi.
Who ate the pea?
And this is, again, one of those things we're not going to say with fourth graders around. We're not going to go there.
No, I was thinking of actual little green peas.
Yeah, no,
Because I'm not a fourth grader. I'm a fifth grader.
Yeah, there you go.
just the end.
I want to talk about baby
Yeah,
books.
new.
Just, you want
You
just
just
the
say
sound,
the
just the end.
Just the first sound from each one. So Nu Eta Pi.
And then your next one is, I said do that right here. Yeah. And then the
I
other side.
just have, I have it in my books. I know the answer.
Now,
Eta is a long A sound.
Okay.
A. So N, A, P, N, nape. Like nape of the neck.
Eta. Oh, I was saying Arta. I don't know what I was saying.
That's okay. You're fine. Eta. Yeah. So N, A, P, N, A, P.
So are any of these words actual Greek words, or you're still?
I'm starting you guys off with
Okay.
something
Like
that's
that.
relatively easy.
It's not a literal Greek word. It's just the English word using Greek letters, like you said.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Well, just I mean, if is milk a word in Greek?
No,
Okay,
no.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, so these words that we're doing, the death, milk, all those are just English words, but we're using the Greek characters.
Okay.
oh.
So we get
Kinda
used to
get those-
using the Greek
those
characters.
sounds and
Yeah.
Okay,
stuff,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then we have Omicron Xi. One of our favorite letters is Xi, which,
Ox.
yeah, ox. Yep.
That was an easy one.
That was easy.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. I don't know how that showed up in there. Yeah.
Oxy.
Not quite, but yeah. All right, so yeah, nape and ox. We would never think of spelling them that way normally in English, but that's how you do it in Greek if you wanted to do that. Yeah. Of course, if you actually said that to someone who spoke Greek, they'd look at you real funny. Great, you can put it in my characters. I can pronounce it with you, but I still have no clue what it means.
Do people still speak Greek?
Yeah.
There's countries.
Yeah, there's Greece. They still speak Greek.
I'll pretend I didn't ask that question.
You're fine. You're fine. You are fine.
Because
No, you're fine. It is totally okay. There's actually a sizable Greek population in America as well.
There is.
And if you try to speak Eraspian Greek to them, they will look at you really strange. Believe me.
This is,
I've had a friend in Pocatello who actually spoke modern Greek, and I would talk with him in Eraspian Greek, and he's just looking at me.
are you saying?
I know it's kind of like Greek, John, but I'm not really sure what you're saying. It's like, okay.
That's like the Spanish it does.
Yes.
In Mexico, and then the true Spanish, like in Spain.
Or
Yeah.
even the Spanish
Yeah.
they teach in schools is
Right.
not what the kids are speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not quite the same. Now, on this next one, I had to separate it out because normally those two letters together is a diphthong, but I didn't want you to pronounce it as a diphthong. I want you to pronounce it as two separate syllables. So I had to put a hyphen in there to separate it out. And that first one that looks like an upside down V is actually a capital lambda. Yeah, so we have lambda, upsilon, iota. So it's two syllables, lambda, upsilon, iota.
so is that upside down V in there somewhere?
Yeah, it's in there for lambda.
Oh, there we go.
Just capitalized. So.
Yeah, it's just the capital form. Most of the time when you guys are reading Greek, you won't use the capital forms because you will use a modern Greek text like you have in front of you that has wonderful lowercase letters. If you're reading one of the ancient ones like I have back there, the Codex Sinaiticus, it's all capital letters, no spaces between words. It's really annoying. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing we do not read from the ancient manuscripts that much because otherwise it'd be a pain.
So
I know.
Louis. Yep, Louis. And I did not realize that when I made this slide that it was going to bring back horrible memories for Max, so I apologize for that.
There's a radio station that's all they play. It's
Yep.
all the versions of
Yep.
Louis. Oh my God.
Yeah. So Louis. Now, you guys might remember this, but there's something that's kind of weird about iota and the sounds that it makes. There's actually 3 different sounds that it makes.
It has the T in it, yes?
Not T.
No.
Not T for iota. Let me see if I can get back there.
It's long if it's at the end.
Yeah, so going back to iota under H.
So it makes it
Stupid thing.
I.
Oh, you
It
stupid
At the
thing.
beginning.
Ita?
E. That's an E at the beginning.
Yeah, so if it is in the, basically the beginning or, well, actually it's easier to name it by exceptions. When it actually says its name that we normally think of with the iota, that's because it is either at the end of a word or there is a vowel sound right after it. That's when it will say its name. Otherwise, it's like the first I in intrigue. It's just I.
When you see the symbol, depending on where you see it, determines the sound it makes.
Exactly. So if it's at the end or if it's followed by another vowel, it's I. Otherwise, it's I. And then there is a weird exception in Hebrew names, and it's only in Hebrew names. It'll sound like the Y in yummy. So it's not Jesus, it's Jesus. It's not Jerusalem, it's Jerusalem.
And there's always got to be one problem there.
Yeah, there's always got to be one that's out there. So yeah, iota is that one. It only says its name if it's at the end or if it's followed by another vowel. Otherwise, it's I. Like the milk. I. All right, let's get back to where we were, which was somewhere in this. Okay, so we got to Louis. Louis. All right, and then on this next one, I put in both of the forms of sigma, because sigma is one of the letters that has an in form, and it's actually pretty common in ancient languages to have an in form. But fortunately, Greek only has one, and that's sigma. So if sigma is at the end, it looks like a C with a little tail. But that is still sigma.
But it still sounds the same.
It still sounds exactly the same. There's no changes sound, it just looks different.
Looks different.
Stars.
Yep, you got it. Yeah, sigma, tau, alpha, rho, sigma, stars. 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 And if you're seeing stars in this class, you might be in the right class, you might not, depends.
Max reading Hebrew. He's doing the Hebrew version of the Greek class.
There we go. Let me know how that works.
You don't want to know.
You don't want to know. That might be fair. All right. And we got phi, omega, nu. Phi, omega, nu. Phi, omega, nu.
I know what it is because it's written
too.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ring, ring.
Dawn?
Yep.
Even after you said that, I still
Still focus on this thing over here. And the last one is the one that I love because if you don't know the Greek letters, it messes everybody up and they try to mispronounce it in all kinds of ways. But it's actually a fairly normal word, especially here in Idaho. So you have ki, ro, omicron, psi. K, ra, a, ps. Crops. 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 This is probably the weirdest way that you've ever decided to spell crops.
Yeah, I like it.
I would not suggest that you go out to a farmer out in town and do that with him, though. He's going to be really confused. Pretty much. I think you're drunk, buddy.
What y'all talking about?
I don't grow that dope stuff.
Yeah. Is that one that's legal in Idaho? All right, and then of course we already went through the alphabet like a bazillion times, so we won't drag you back through that. Yay! All right, and then the rest of the lesson from last week was more on the technicalities. The big thing, of course, was the alphabet and the sounds. If you can get that, you can get through most of the rest of it, but it does also help to know the punctuation a little bit and things like that. So that's what the next section was about. The omicron with the forward apostrophe above it is pronounced ha instead of ah. And that's because the forward apostrophe above a vowel, or specifically above a vowel sound, will tell you that there's an invisible H there.
Excuse me.
So instead of makran, it's ha. Ha. So it's not it's ha. Now there are a lot of other breathing marks that occur in Greek, but for Erasmian Greek, they don't really matter. So I'm not going to take you guys through all of those. And your little compact guide will mention a lot of those and whatnot. Don't bother with it. The only one that you really need to memorize is the rough breathing mark. The rest of them are there, and they will help you distinguish between words and whatnot, but you don't change pronunciation for them in Erasmian Greek. So we won't worry about it. Minimalization. All right, so does anyone remember how to say the first word?
Which first word? Hamarta. Oh, did I pronounce it right? Hamarta?
Nope.
Hamarsha.
Nope.
That's what I wrote down.
Hamartia.
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 Yeah.
I know what it means too.
And this iota here is followed by another vowel, and that's what's making it say its name. So hamartia instead of hamartia. So it's tia because it's followed by another vowel sound. So hamartia.
I'm not in my brain yet.
Huh?
I'm not that far in my brain yet.
That's okay. We can pause there for a moment.
Okay, where's the tia? I mean, what's that little? Sounds like tau.
Yeah, tau is ta.
Oh, see, so, okay, where's the E? Okay, iota.
It's iota, and it's followed by a vowel, so it says its name.
Okay, that's back wherever, okay.
Yeah. And its common translation is sin. That's actually not the most accurate, but that is what it's usually translated as.
What is the most accurate?
Forfeiture or departure is what it most literally means.
How does forfeiture and departure equate to sin?
In the biblical concept, when you sin against God, you're departing from his ways. You're forfeiting his standard of righteousness.
Oh, sin is forfeiture.
That kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, sin is normally the word that we use in English, and people get it, so you can translate it that way. It's just fine. But sometimes people, when you say sin, they don't quite get the idea. Especially in this modern age, sin is like, is that a thing?
How do you spell forfeit?
With an F, and after that I get confused.
F-O-R-F?
I thought F-E-I-T.
That's what I was saying.
I will cheat.
Okay, forfeiture or departure, right?
Yep. And that is actually in the special terms that I gave you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So you do have it elsewhere. Yeah, hamartia, an active departure or forfeiture. Yeah, so in Johnson's Lexicon of Special New Testament Terms, it is there.
Okay.
Can I try the next word?
Sure, go right ahead.
Coupier.
Oh, she got French.
Too many syllables, but you're on the
I'm on the right track.
you're on the right track, but too many syllables. This is just a 2-syllable word.
Coupier.
I
It
think
starts with a H.
Yeah, you got the H on there.
Okay. And then,
Mm-hmm.
and then
So say it again. Maybe I'm just mishearing you.
coupier.
Where are you getting the ER from?
Well, the P on the end is a row.
Row.
Hoopu-
Say it again.
I don't know now.
You're actually really close.
Row.
No, because you just wanted the first sound of that letter. Hooper. There you go.
Hooper.
Hooper.
Hooper. Oh.
There you go.
Oh, I was on the right.
Hooper.
Yes.
Hooper.
That's a word?
Yes, it is. Hooper. Now, this is not how we would say it in English. And to English, it came across with a Y sound. Hyper
Oh.
is what it would be in modern English. Yeah, that's one that we borrowed from the Greeks. Like a lot of our words, we actually borrowed from the Greeks.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, so hamartia is the root of the English word hamartiology, which nobody says, which is technically the study of sin. Makes sense. And then hooper comes across into English as hyper.
Meaning.
Well, in English, of course, it means ecstatic, but in Greek, it's actually a preposition, basically means above. Yeah, so if someone is hooper, they're above. It can be an activity, hyper, what like we think of, but it can also be positionally. They're on the mountain, you're in the valley.
So it would be position or what?
For right now, we'll just say it's positional,
Position.
above in position.
Okay.
There's more that goes on with Greek prepositions, unfortunately, and it will take a little while to unpack that. But for right now, we can just say it means above.
Okay.
Yeah, people ask me these questions, and I start thinking through all the possibilities. Like, no, they're not ready for that yet. Slow down, back up.
Thank you.
Let's not do that. We'll say it's above for right now, and we'll cover the rest of it later. All right. So, any questions about the rough breathing mark? That's what the forward apostrophe is called, is the rough breathing mark.
We should have the rough breathing again.
Yeah.
I feel like through this whole course we all will.
I don't know if a sigh counts, but that's okay.
No, that's not rough. That's a sigh.
I've got asthma. I breathe rough all the time.
Yeah. All right, punctuation and meaning is easy, but not. There's 4 punctuation marks in Greek. 2 of them are exactly the same as in modern English, which is great. Comma still acts like a comma. Period still acts like a period, but the next 2 are weird and goofy. The raised dot in Greek acts the same as the English semicolon, and it's also used to introduce direct speech, so you can also think of it as quotation marks.
Okay, so semicolon or quotation.
Or
Like
quotation
if
marks.
Jesus were speaking, or anyone.
If it's introducing someone speaking. So he said, and then they'll put a raised dot for whatever said comes next. So he said, raised dot,
That's
and
the
this is
third
what he
one
said.
down.
Yes.
Let me put quotations there. Okay.
Yep.
Kind of like.
Yeah. So it can be used that way. But normally it's a semicolon, not quite a full stop. And then the one that really messes with people, and it's my favorite one because it really messes with people, is the Greek semicolon is a question mark.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so people will be reading along in the text and they'll just keep going right along. It's like, no, you're actually supposed to pause there and put an emphasis on it because it's a question. And they just keep right on going because they think it's a semicolon. It's great. Yeah. Yeah.
I like the way Spanish does it better. They put all the punctuation at the start of the sentence.
Don't they do it upside down too?
Yep. Yeah, the first one is upside down at the front, and then the end one is basically the same as what it would be in
Puts you
English.
into a question, so you're
That
not
was
saying
just-
the last word
yeah.
going, huh?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it does make it. You prep yourself for what you're about to say or how you should say it.
Exactly.
So those are the 4 primary punctuation marks in Greek. In ancient forms of Greek, there would also be the overbar. We're not going to cover that, and it's not really relevant. But the overbar was used for either numbers or abbreviations.
And what's an overbar?
For example, this is used all the time in nomina sacra, for example. So Kyrios for Lord would be kappa, and then in the ancient form, no, I don't want you. Go away. Go away.
That listens about as much as my phone.
Yeah. So in the ancient form, they wouldn't actually write out Kyrios. Instead, they'd abbreviate it, putting the first and the last letter in there, and then put an overbar above it to tell you this is an abbreviation.
Okay, so the bar means abbreviation.
Yeah, this is being abbreviated, or it's being used as a number. Yeah. So for the 12 disciples, for example, they would have iota, beta, with an overbar, and that'd be 12.
Iota, theta, and that would mean?
12. Yeah.
Okay.
Meaning the 12 disciples.
Mm-hmm. It could be, or anything else with 12 in it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it doesn't mean like a
Yeah.
dozen eggs.
Yeah, a dozen eggs would work, yeah. Yeah, anything with it in there, yeah. But of course, you guys are not going to...
Bring it back down to weapon terms here.
Yeah, but you guys are not going to see that in your modern printed text because they don't use the ancient abbreviation symbols and that kind of thing, and they also write out all of the numbers, which is a pain in the rear. But yeah, they write them all out instead of saying, the symbols for 1052. Instead, it's the word 1000, the word 50, and 2. It's annoying. But that's the way they do it. So you guys won't have to worry about that punctuation. So just these 4 is the ones that you need to worry about. Yeah. So don't waste time on the overbar. You're not going to see it again anyways. Well,
It's kind of cool to learn though.
it is cool to learn. Yeah, if you look at Codex Sinaiticus over there, you'll be able to go through and you'll find the little overbar. Oh, this is a nomina sacra. This is one of the names of God. I just don't know which one it is, but it's there. I can find it.
It's abbreviation for something.
Yeah.
That's abbreviation for something.
All right, so any questions about the punctuation? Now, in your homework, you'll have a task where you'll have to change the punctuation from English to Greek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It won't be too hard, though. It's a couple of sentences. It's not bad. All right, and then the Greek diphthongs, which throws everybody off. because we just learned the alphabet and we got the sounds down. And then the sounds change. I hate you. Yeah.
Oh dear. And I had it down so well.
Yeah.
First time.
Pretty much. Yeah. So the Greek diphthongs, a diphthong is a sound that's formed from 2 or more letters. And in Greek, Koine Greek, this is what happens with a lot of vowels. You put 2 vowels together, and a lot of times it changes how it's pronounced, and it'll blend into one vowel. So alpha iota, it's not a-e, it's I, as an isle. So the Greek word, and this actually is a proper Greek word, this isn't an English word written in Greek letters, this is a proper Greek word. This Greek word would be kai. Not kai, it'd be kai.
Okay, so these are the diphthongs using the letters we just learned, right?
Exactly.
Put them together.
Put them together, what sound does it make?
Okay.
These
Are
ones,
these all of them?
these are all of them.
Okay.
You will not see any more than this. This is all of them exclusively. Take your time on learning them though, because it's confusing when you're first going through it. I know them because I've done it for a while, but when I first was learning it, I hated the diphthongs, to be honest. It was one of those things, I came across a word that had a diphthong and I was like, skip that one, moving on.
Well, there's nothing that warns you
It's a diphthong, except
not
you
like the
know.
overbar.
Exactly, yeah, there is no overbar or anything like that. It's just you got to know the letter combinations, and that takes time. So if you don't get it immediately, please don't beat yourself up about it. It takes time.
Every time you see these
Letters together, it is a diphthong.
they will be a diphthong.
That was, I
Okay.
was just going to say.
Yeah, there are no exceptions to that in Erasmian Greek,
That's good.
which is why we're using Erasmian Greek. Erasmian Greek was designed to be easier to learn than modern Greek. It was designed so that people could learn the biblical language and pronounce it more effectively and efficiently. That doesn't mean that it's not Greek, though. It doesn't mean that it's not exactly hard, but it is easier than other forms. All right, and then epsilon iota, it makes a long A sound. So that Greek word would be akon. Akon. And I might as well put in the translations here.
I was going to say.
Yeah, kai is and. It can mean a few other things, but like I said, we'll cover that when we get there. But it's basically and. Akon is the word from which we get the English word
Acorn.
no, icon. Yeah.
You're close.
Yeah.
I think we might have said that.
I'm putting some real honest effort into this.
You're fine.
okay?
You're fine. You're fine. Yeah. Now, this one actually never formed any major problems for me. For some reason, I got it, and I think I'm just weird on that one. But omicron iota sounds like the oi and oil. And so for me, that one was easy. For some reason, that one never messed me up. So the next word is oikos. Oikos.
I thought I've seen that one.
And
It's a yogurt.
I think
No,
you're
there is
right.
a yogurt.
I think
Really?
you're right.
And it's got Greek symbols on the front. Yep.
You are
I have never
absolutely right.
tasted it,
Yeah.
But it means house?
it means house. Yeah, so if you talk about you and your oikos, you're talking about you and your household.
And icon house.
Yeah, this is not a sentence, by the way. These are just random words that happen to have that sound in
Unless
there.
you had a house that was an icon.
My iconic house.
Yeah.
And something else. We'll
Yeah.
learn in just a minute.
Yes.
And then alpha upsilon wasn't too bad. It sounds like the ow in sauerkraut. Ow. So the next Greek word is autos. Autos. And yeah, you can think of it for right now as it basically being a third person pronoun, he. It actually gets used in all kinds of ways, but for right now, we'll just pretend it's he. And that's the problem with Greek words. There's only 270 main Greek words in the New Testament, but there's 138,000 words total in the Greek New Testament, so it's 270 being used lots of different times in lots of different ways.
In context.
In context, exactly.
They learned that from the first.
There you go. Context, context, context. And when in doubt, look at the context. Yeah. All right, and then the next one actually wasn't too bad to remember because it's actually a word in Greek as well. The diphthong is a word. So omicron upsilon sounds like the oo in soup. So it's just oo.
That's a word.
Yep, oo. And it means not. Yeah. So if you were to say oo akon, you'd be saying not icon.
Not,
Or
Okay.
ooh, how do you say the house?
oikos.
Oikos. Not
Yeah.
my house.
Well, not house. Yeah. If you wanted to say not my house, it'd be u oikos mu. Not the house of me. Yeah. But yeah, that's another lesson for another day. Don't get too far ahead on that one. Yeah. All right, and then this one, I hate it because it actually technically has kind of a consonantal sound in it. Upsilon iota sounds like the we, so it has kind of a W sound in it, as in sweet. So there's actually a W sound in it, even though it's a vowel, which is just weird. So we, as in sweet. So this word, you'll notice it has the diphthong, and then it has the forward apostrophe on the second vowel. That's because those two vowels go together, so the forward apostrophe will move back if it's a diphthong. But you still pronounce it with the H sound. So rough breathing mark says have to have an H on here. It's a diphthong, so we change it around a little bit, and you wind up getting huias. Huias. Yeah, when you look at the word itself, you don't get that from it. So that one was one of the ones that would annoy me to death, and I'm sitting there going, I hate you.
You move that apostrophe to the front then.
Well, you think of it that way, but they're always going to put it on the last vowel in a vowel sound. So the two are functioning together to make one vowel sound, and it's always going to go on the last one that is a part of that sound.
For writing it, but for pronouncing it, you remember the rule of H.
Yeah, H goes on the front when you actually sound it out, but it moves to the back if it's a diphthong, which is just weird and crazy. Yeah, huias. And again, this is another Greek word that can mean a lot of different things, but basically it means son. And this next one, I can always remember the first combination, but the second combination I always forget for some reason. So it can either be epsilon, upsilon, or it can be eta, upsilon. I always forget the eta, upsilon because it almost never shows up in the Greek. It's a very, very, very rare diphthong. Yeah, the eta, upsilon. Yeah, eta, upsilon is a very rare combination.
Okay, this is rare. Okay.
Yeah, very rare. And so when I do it, unfortunately, I'll come to a Greek word that has it in it, and I'll almost always try to pronounce them as separate vowels, which doesn't work. You're not supposed to do that, but I wind up doing it because I forget, hey, that's a diphthong. All right. And it sounds kind of like a long U sound, like in feud. So it's long U sound as in feud. U. Yeah, U. Yeah, U says its name, basically. And then this Greek word here is euangelion. Now, does anyone remember why you have an N sound and then a G sound in this one?
Oh, kinda. Let me look.
Two gammas together.
Yeah, I've got two gammas make
First
an N
one
sound.
sounds like an N.
Yeah, if you have two gammas together, the first one will make the N sound, and then the second one will make a normal G sound.
Okay.
And then
Always?
Always.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah, double gamma, first one sounds like N. This is where we get words like angel from. It's actually same two letters in Greek, but you pronounce the first one differently.
So is that how you would say angel? Oh, you haven't given us the meaning. Does that mean angel?
No, it does not. This one is actually the same word that we usually translate as gospel.
No. Hey, look at you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wrote it down.
Okay.
Somehow or
Oh, okay.
I need a little bit of a
It
backup.
made an
A
impression.
backup, okay.
Okay, so the two gammas together. First one sounds like the
Yeah,
N.
nu,
No.
and then the second one stays gamma.
Stays like, is it, okay.
Gamma, yep. Yeah. There are rules in every language, and then the exceptions to all the rules.
Yeah, it's just like English.
Yeah, pretty much. This is how it works, except for when it doesn't.
That's right.
And you're not wrong. Good to know.
I have to get myself out of N and to mu. I need to get those symbols associated with the letter. I've got to practice that.
Yeah. And it will take time. That's the only way you can get through an alphabet of any languages. It's just going to take time. And frankly, that's where I'm stopped in my Hebrew studies. Is I haven't had enough time to sit down and actually go through the alphabet very well. And they have this thing called vowel points. they don't actually have proper vowels. Well, they have a couple of proper vowels, but most of the vowels they do with vowel points, the little dots that are put underneath the word. And I haven't had time to sit down and memorize it all yet, so I'm still sitting there going, I can't access the Hebrew language yet because I'm stuck at the silly alphabet. It makes things really tough. So yeah, until I get past that, yeah, my Hebrew studies are at a wall. So yeah, if you guys are feeling bad, don't feel terrible because I'm at the same place with
I
that.
feel a lot better now.
Yeah, alphabets honestly do not come easy to me. It takes a long time. Once you get it, it's not bad, but it takes freaking forever for me.
What you doing freaking?
I'm doing my best at it though.
Morse code.
Yeah.
I did it out, so what?
So?
When they go together, this is what you get.
I almost think it's crazy.
Well, the nice thing, at least about Morse code, is that you're at least translating English. You know, there's something behind it that's you can make sense of, but symbology is still a pain.
Yeah, unless you're copying like the Russians.
Then
They're
it's-
doing it. Well, it's somebody else's job to translate what we've written down.
Yeah, this is the sounds I heard, guys.
All I know is that they're giving numbers and letters, and I don't know what they mean. Here, you go deal with it. Made no sense to me. But when they come running out of the code room and they're all excited, you know things are getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
All right, so those are all of the diphthongs. They will definitely take time. Like I said, oi was easy for me. We was a royal pain in the rear is what it was. And then eta upsilon, just because it's so rare, I always forget it. And I will try to say eu. It's not eu. It's you. Yeah. But I always mispronounce it. I try to say it as two different vowels. Because I'm special that way.
You're special.
Yeah. Huh?
It's an
Ed, yeah. All right, and then syllabification. And syllabification pretty much killed us last time, right?
Oh man.
You think?
Yeah. And actually, the thing, most people don't really realize it, but Greek syllabification actually is pretty much the same as in English.
Yeah.
If you were to just pronounce the word by itself and, you know, work with it a little bit, you'd wind up saying it pretty much the same way. So if you get stuck on something and you can't remember what all the rules are, just say how you would say it in English. You'll probably be at least close. Okay. Now, if you know a Greek professor is standing by, he might laugh at you, but nobody else is going to know. Okay.
For a Greek person.
Well, a Greek person is not going to understand anything that you say from this because this is Erasmian Greek in the first place. They're just going to look at you like, wow, them crazy Americans have no idea how to say our language.
It's basically ancient Greek. Nobody speaks.
Well, technically it's the scholar's form of ancient Greek.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, if you were to go back in time, they wouldn't say it that way either.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the scholar's form of ancient Greek.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look up. I want to listen to someone speak modern Greek now.
Yeah, it does not sound the same.
Not at all.
Not really, yeah. Yeah, the vowels are all different. The consonants are basically the same, but the vowels are all different in
What
modern
are the
Greek.
vowels? Did we go through the vowels?
Yeah, you went through the alphabet, you went through the vowels.
A-E-I-O-U?
No, because there's more vowels. Which ones are vowels?
Vowels? Vowels, oh, let's go back to the alphabet. There we go. Okay, so here, all under, well, should I do underline? All under box. So alpha is a vowel. Epsilon is a vowel.
There's epsilon. Epsilon is a vowel. Okay.
Eta is a vowel.
There's eta. Eta. Eta is a vowel.
Iota is a vowel.
Eta.
Omicron is a vowel. Upsilon is a vowel. And then, of course, omega.
Did you say Omicron is a vowel?
Omicron is a vowel.
Omicron, yeah. Sigma.
Yeah, so there are 7 vowels.
I knew there were 7. I just couldn't remember.
Omega.
Those are the vowels.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, I have 8. Uh-oh.
Oh, I better erase one.
Alpha.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
Epsilon.
Eta,
Eta.
iota,
Iota.
omicron,
Omicron.
upsilon, omega.
Oh, I put sigma as well.
No, sigma is not the vowel. Yeah, so those are the vowels. Yeah, getting back to where we were.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
It's better to catch it now than later on. Yeah, it's not so easy to catch later on. And I don't know why my computer keeps thinking and I get the little circle. It's annoying me though. Something's going on. I have no idea what.
Are you hooked through the internet?
No.
Okay, so it must be doing something in the background.
Yeah. Something. All right. So Greek syllabification, like I said, it's actually really close to English. So if you get stuck, just go with English. But the main idea here, like with pretty much any language, is that your vowel sounds form the center of your syllables. So every syllable is going to be centered on a vowel sound. And I say vowel sound because we have the diphthongs. So it could be just a vowel or it could be two vowels together that are making a sound. All right, and these vowel sounds will normally go with the consonant which precedes them, to the left of them, in front of them, and not usually with the consonant which is behind them unless one of the following exceptions happens. So these next three are exceptions to that rule. Okay, so normally they go with the consonant in front unless one of these three things happen. Okay, so vowels are usually stuck with their forward consonants. That's the way it normally happens unless one of these three exceptions applies. So for an example in English, if you had the English letter to, T-O, you'd say it as one syllable, to, right? You wouldn't say it as t-u, you'd put them together. The vowel goes with what is in front of it, to. Basically the same thing in Greek, unless you have one of these exceptions. For example, first exception, if the following consonant, the one that comes after that vowel, like I said, it can pick up a consonant afterwards. It usually doesn't unless one of these three things happen. If that final consonant, the one that comes after it, is the final letter of the word, then it will pick it up. So it's not a consonant that's just hanging off by itself. So if it's the last consonant of the word, it will pick up that one. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the word dog, for example, you say it all as one syllable. You don't say dog, you say dog, right? Yeah. So if it's the last letter of the word, you pick up that consonant. All right, another exception is when there is another consonant following that consonant. So if you have the following consonant, then another one that comes after it, it will pick up the first one, but not the one that comes after it. Well, it's not necessarily silent, it just goes with the next syllable.
So if you have two consonants together,
Yeah.
is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the first consonant will go with the first syllable.
Okay.
But the second consonant, it'll get tacked on to the next one.
So yeah, if they're double consonants.
This isn't a double consonant. This is a following consonant.
If you have two consonants together, I shouldn't say it's not the double consonants. I just used the wrong term.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you put one with one and one with the other,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah. So if you have a consonant followed by a consonant, first one goes with the first syllable, second one goes with the second syllable. Usually it's pretty straightforward.
English example? I know
English doesn't follow that one quite as well, unfortunately. I'm trying to think. Upstairs, for example. The P goes with the U, up, and then the S goes with the rest of it, stairs.
Compound word almost.
Or
Not
just multiple
necessarily,
syllables.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So
You were just
kind
using a compound word.
yeah, yeah. So upstairs would be an English example. The P goes with the U. The rest of the consonants get thrown onto the next syllable. All right, and then finally, and this is one that is unique to Greek because only Greek has these letters. If you have one of the double consonants, either xi or psi, that has to be divided out. I am, frankly, honestly, more picky than some people are. There's some people that just say, just pronounce it as a single sound, you'll do fine, and technically you will. But if you want to be proper, you have to separate it out. So xi is kappa sigma, and you'll divide it. So the first one will go with the first syllable, second part goes with the second syllable.
That's the E looking weird, right?
Yeah, that's xi. And then psi is P divided out from sigma. So those ones actually kind of follow the same rule that we just had where you have two consonants that come afterwards. The first consonant will go with the first syllable, second consonant and beyond goes with the next syllable. But these ones are technically two syllables, but not two syllables, but two consonants put together in Greek, and that's why they get divided out.
Mostly double consonants get divided in English too.
Yep.
Mostly.
Yeah, except we don't have any letters that are true double consonants in English. At least not the way that we would conceive of them, you know.
Blends ST and SH.
Yeah, when they're actually written as double letters, yeah.
We should keep those together. Or just put them out.
SH we would, yeah, because that one's a diphthong.
WH, yeah.
All right, so that's the basic rule. Vowel sound is in the middle. Normally goes with the consonant in front, unless the it's a final letter, it's a consonant followed by another consonant, or you have one of the double consonants. Which sounds really easy until you try to apply it. Yeah, like I said, if you get stuck, just try pronouncing it how you would in English and you'll usually be close. And like I said, as long as there's not a Greek professor around to correct you, you go. You'll,
As long as there's not a Greek professor around you, you're going to sound very intelligent to the other people around you.
exactly.
Anyway,
So, there you go.
Yeah, they're not going to know. All right, so here are our examples. First thing that we always do is we look for the vowels or vowel sounds because we have the diphthongs. Now, last time we went through these already, and you guys know that there are no diphthongs in these because I wanted to keep it relatively easy to start off with. I didn't want you to all to die on the first day. Although we came pretty close to that. That was a rough day.
It was rough. It was rough.
It was extremely rough, yeah. So first thing we do is we go through and we find all the vowels. So we ask ourselves, okay, first letter is alpha. Is that a vowel?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark that off here. That one is a vowel. All right, gamma. Is that a vowel?
No.
No, you're right. Okay. How about omicron?
Yes.
Yes, it is a vowel. And then we have rho. Is that a vowel? No, no. Okay, so we don't have to worry about it. How about alpha?
Yes.
Yes, it is a vowel. We already had it once. And then we have zeta. Is that a vowel? No, it is not. And then we have omega.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so, and we don't have any diphthongs here. We don't have any vowels that are acting together. So we don't have to worry about any of that. So now we know how many syllables this word is going to have. How many syllables will it have?
4.
4, exactly. Yep, as many vowel sounds as there are, that'll be the number of syllables. So if you wind up with more than that when you're done, you did it wrong.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, that's usually about the way it goes. Yeah, when I was first starting out with this, I would do that as well. I was like, okay, I find all the vowels, I'm good to go. And then I'd start dividing things out, and I'd wind up forgetting, a final consonant or something like that, and wind up with, 4 vowels and 5 syllables. It's like, I messed up somewhere. Yeah. Or if I wind up with less, that's not good either,
Yourself. I
Yeah.
tried going like
4 syllables and I only got 2. That's not good. Yeah. All right, so now we need to divide it out. So we're going to look at these just in order and figure out if they pick up the following consonant or not. We already know that they have the first consonant before them. That's a given. Our question is whether or not they pick up the following consonant. So the first vowel is, of course, the alpha. There is no preceding consonant, but it would have it if there was in front. It would automatically have the one in front if it was there. You never have to worry about the consonant in front. It always picks it up. The question is, does it pick up the consonant that comes after? So for alpha, we're actually worried about whether or not it picks up that gamma. So we ask ourselves, go through the 3 exceptions. Is that gamma the final letter of the word? No. So it's not going to pick it up for that reason. We ask ourselves the next exception. Is that gamma followed by another consonant? No. So it's not going to pick it up because of that. Finally, is gamma, sorry.
Okay. The alpha, gamma, it's not another consonant. Okay.
There's not another consonant after the gamma. It's just gamma.
Okay.
If it was gamma, gamma, the alpha would get the first gamma.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, now.
Same comma.
When you have double gamma, it's actually an N sound. So I should have used a different example. I apologize.
You did say that today.
First one is N, the second one is G.
Yep. All right, so neither of those exceptions apply. Last exception is gamma, one of the double consonants in Greek. Greek has 2 double consonants. Is it one of those? No. Yeah, the double consonants are either xi or psi, and gamma is not one of those, so we don't worry about it. So is alpha going to get the gamma? No, it is not. So the alpha will be off by itself. So our word is going to start with the syllable ah.
Oh,
Ah. All right, now the omicron, when we move to it, it's the next center of the syllable. We already know, we don't have to think about it, we already know that it's going to pick up the consonant in front of it. It's going to get the gamma no matter what. Okay, we know it's going to get the gamma, that's not the question. The question is whether or not it picks up the one that follows. So, the one that follows is the rho. So we'll ask ourselves the 3 exception questions. Is the rho the final letter of the word?
No.
So we're not going to pick it up because of that. Next question, is the rho followed by another consonant?
No.
So it's not going to pick it up because of that. Is rho one of the double consonants?
No.
No, it's not xi or psi. So is the omicron going to get that rho? No, that's the one that got away.
Oh.
So it's just going to be a-ga for the first 2 syllables that we figured out. And then the next syllable is centered on the alpha, and we know automatically that that alpha is going to pick up the consonant in front of it. That's not even a question. We know it's going to get the rho. No worries there. Which one are we worried about? The one after it. It's not xi though.
Oh.
Xi and this one look very, very, very close, and it will take you time to learn the difference between the two. Does anyone remember?
Zeta.
Zeta, yeah. Zeta. Yeah, it looks a lot like the xi. The only difference is with xi, it actually looks a little bit more like an E.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that looks more like a C kind of.
Yeah, a big C with a tail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the tail.
Yeah.
As opposed to an E with the tail.
Yeah. Yeah, they are hard to tell apart though when you're first starting. One of our students, I'm not going to say who, kept asking me about the Greek letters and saying, you know, the one with the squiggle on it. I was like, there's a few of those in Greek. There's a lot of squiggles. Which one are you talking about? So yeah, we're worried about whether or not the alpha gets the zeta. It's automatic that it's going to get the rho. That's not even a question. We're worried about, does it get the zeta? So we ask ourselves the 3 exceptions. First exception, is that zeta the final letter in the word? No, it's close to the final letter, but it is not the final letter. So it's not going to get it because of that. Is that zeta followed by another consonant?
No.
No, so it's not going to get it because of that. Is zeta one of the double consonants in Greek? Either xi or psi?
No.
No, well, obviously because it's not xi or psi, it's zeta. So it can't be that one. So is alpha going to get that zeta? No, it's going to get away again. These vowels in this word are not doing very good for catching final consonants. They are awful at this game. So we have agara, and then the final one, we don't really have anything to worry about because there are no following consonants, right? And we already know that it's going to get the consonant in front of it, so we don't really have to do any work with the final syllable.
It's a fun word.
It is. Agarazo.
I like it.
Agarazo.
Agarazo. What does that mean? Oh,
I buy. Yep, I buy.
Right there, my phone.
That's okay.
I had that stuff written down, but it's like I had to write it again.
Yeah. Agarazo.
Agarazo.
I kept trying to use the P as a P.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. Yeah, in Greek it looks like a P, but it's actually an R sound. Yeah, agarazo. So this is a fairly nice Greek word where you don't have any exceptions to worry about. You just go with the consonant in front of each vowel, you're good to go. That's how a lot of the Greek words are. It's the ones that don't play by that rule that's mean, you know. And so we're going to start getting into some of the ones that are a little bit more mean. All right, but we'll still start out the same way. We're first going to look for vowel sounds. And like I said, technically the diphthongs can be a vowel sound. I didn't include any diphthongs in here because I wanted it to be easy though. So we're going to look for vowel sounds. The first vowel sound that we have is what letter?
Epsilon.
Epsilon. Fantastic. The next vowel sound that we're going to have is?
Sigma.
No.
Omega. Iota.
Iota, yeah. Yeah, iota is next vowel.
Oh, the next vowel. I was just reading the next letter.
Yeah, next vowel sound. Vowels are the centers of the syllables. And then our final vowel for this word, yes?
Omega.
Omega. Yep. So how many syllables should this word have when we're done?
3.
3. Perfect. All right, now we have to go through, look at those vowels and figure out what they're going to go with. Now, epsilon, the first vowel there, it doesn't have any consonants that are in front of it, but if it did have consonants in front of it, it would automatically get them. because that's just the way Greek works. It automatically gets the first consonant, but it doesn't have a first consonant, so it can't pick up that one.
Do all Greek words start with
Vowels? No.
It sure looks like it right
A
now.
lot of them do,
Okay.
especially your verbs. Verbs almost always start with vowels, and it's really annoying. And they always end with vowels. The vowels change depending on case, which you guys won't have to remember because you're not going to do morphology. But if you were to actually go through and memorize them all, it becomes a pain. I was trying to figure it out one day exactly how many forms there were, and I think there's like 30 different forms for any Greek verb, if I remember right. Which you guys will not have to remember because you have a parsing code. But yeah, we're not going to do that. All right, so the epsilon, if it had anything in front, it would automatically get it. The ones that we always have to worry about, though, is what follows. Is it going to pick up what follows or not? So that sigma follows, we're going to ask ourselves, is it going to pick up that sigma? And we're going to ask ourselves the 3 rules. First of all, is that sigma the final letter in the word? No, not at all. Okay, not at the end. It's still towards the beginning, so it's not going to get it because of that. Next reason why we could pick up a following consonant is because that consonant is followed by yet another consonant. Does that apply here?
Yes.
Yes, it does. We have sigma and then theta. So you have consonant followed by another consonant, so yes, it will pick up that sigma. That sigma had another consonant behind it, so it's going to pick up that sigma. So this time, it actually got the 1.
Didn't get away.
Yep, didn't get away. The policeman got his man this time.
So would you pronounce that first syllable?
S.
Oh, not S?
Sigma is an S sound, so it's S.
Oh. Oh, I'm looking at the theta.
Yeah, sigma before the theta.
Okay, so S.
Yep, S. S. And then the next syllable is actually really easy because after that next vowel, iota, there are no other consonants after it, right? It's just iota and then omega. So there's no consonant to worry about picking up. So it's just going to be divided between the vowels. I don't have to worry about whether or not it picks up the next consonant because there is no next consonant. It's a vowel instead.
So we divide between the vowels unless they're diphthongs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is also telling us how that iota is going to be pronounced. Is it going to be long iota or is it going to be the short iota? If iota is followed by another vowel, it says its name, or if it's at the end of a word, it says its name. In this case, it's followed by a vowel. So it's going to be E. So it's S-T-O. 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 Which basically means I eat.
So which vowel is omega?
Hmm?
Omega. Which vowel is omega?
I'm not sure what you
It
mean.
starts with an O, and it's also got an E in it.
It's always the first sound. O.
It's always the
O.
first sound.
O.
Okay.
Like the O in tone. O.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. The only one that doesn't really follow that rule is the iota.
American
'Cause
alphabet. You have to like get that out of your head.
Omega.
yeah. O. Yes.
Well, I've got
That is-
omega written down here, but I've got a check mark over the E.
Well, that's confusing.
Yeah, and the reason why that is because
Why
it's,
did I do that?
yeah, it's not ega, it's ega. That's why you put the
And
mark
I
on
have
the E
a
on
check
there.
mark over. Maybe I was just marking the 3 vowels.
Say
Omega.
that word again. S-T.
Iota.
S-T-O.
I might have-
S-T-O.
Okay.
S-T-O. S-T-O. So agarzo, S-T-O.
I buy, I eat.
I buy, I eat. Yes, I buy your food, I eat your food, I'm good. Yes.
I eat out in the evening. That's some food.
Well, SBO, banana splits later when I go home. So I'm excited about that.
I'm going to your house.
Yeah,
You're welcome to.
All right, fantastic. Next word, we need to find our vowels again. So Mac, you've got this one. What are our vowels?
And the first one is epsilon.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, epsilon.
Perfect.
And then what is it? Alpha.
Got it. And then the final vowel?
Omega.
Perfect. Omega.
Yeah.
All right, so
Omega. Yeah.
Miss Debbie, how many syllables are we going to have in this wonderful word?
We're gonna have 3.
Perfect. All right, so we know what the vowels are. We know how many syllables there are. Now we just need to go through and figure out which consonant goes with which syllable. All right, so for the very first vowel sound, the epsilon, we know that it would automatically get a consonant in front if there was one, but there isn't one. So that's kind of a moot point. But the big question is whether or not it gets that consonant that comes afterwards, the xi.
It does, it's part of
Because
it.
you got to divide it, because see, it's a double consonant.
You guys already got it. You are exactly right. So it is going to divide the double consonant. So you're going to have ek on one side, and then the sigma is going to go on the next side. All right, and then the next vowel is the alpha. We already know it's going to get part of the xi. It's going to get the sigma side of it. But the real question isn't what comes in front of it. The real question is always what comes after it. Is the alpha going to get that gamma that comes afterwards?
No.
We've got a yes and a no. But not both of these can be right.
Well, it's not the final letter.
It's not the final letter, okay.
There's not another consonant,
Okay.
and it's not and it's not following the, that D. I can't remember.
And it's not a double
It's
consonant.
not a double consonant.
Yep. So is the alpha going to get that gamma?
No.
No, it's the one that got away again.
Yep.
All right, and then when I go to omega, there are no consonants afterwards to worry about, so it's basically already done for me. So I have exago. Exago.
Now, I'm reading out how you actually say it.
Me too.
But when they're written, there's not these dots in the middle. It's just would be one.
Yeah, it would be what you see over on the left-hand side over here. That's how it will appear in the
Yes,
text.
in the dictionary, looking at the syllables in a word.
Yeah,
Dots.
the dots are just showing you where the syllables break up.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is where the
that's what I
syllable
was
breaks are.
wondering. And then even though exago means I lead out, that's not a word. That's a
It's more
part of a
like a
sentence,
phrase.
basically.
It's a-
Yeah,
For
phrase.
us, it's a phrase.
Yeah, for us it's a phrase, but in Greek this is a weird thing, and we've talked about this before actually. In Greek it is a single word, and in Greek you can have a verb, which is what this is, be an entire sentence. And that's because Greek verbs always have implied pronouns in them. So you have your noun part, your subject, you have your verb, that's enough for a complete sentence. And you will find places where in the Greek New Testament it is nothing but verbs.
You can't equate what we've learned in English to Greek. You know what I'm saying?
It's
It
hard.
is.
My
It
mind
is.
wants to.
mine
It
goes,
does.
yeah.
That's a verb, but it has a pronoun in it. That's weird. It is.
It's hard
yeah.
to do. It
Yeah.
is. So.
It's slowly making sense.
It will take time.
No.
Today, for the moment.
I can't promise anything. I'll remember this tomorrow.
Which is why we record them.
Good.
It'll be on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as the recording actually takes. There have been times where I've done recording and it hasn't worked out.
Is there any way you could send that to Mac on his phone?
It would depend on if he had a reader system on his phone and if he was connected to the
link
internet.
to the recording?
Yeah,
You sent me the link to the
I
recording.
could, but that would depend on what kind of apps a Mac has.
Because you don't have.
Because you have
Facebook.
Facebook, Mac
I
doesn't.
know, but it popped up as a YouTube video.
Yeah, and he would have to have at least the YouTube app in
I'll be
order to
honest
play
with you,
it.
I've got a book, a tablet.
Uh-huh.
I have no idea what's on it.
'Cause that'd be great.
Yeah, because you'd have to have at least an email address or something like that we could send it
Send
to.
it to me via Facebook.
Okay, then I could send it to you that
Yeah,
way.
give
And you
him
could just
the
tap on the
email,
link and open it
then
up.
he can email you the link, and then you can go through the lesson again.
Which is what someone does, and that's why she knew the alphabet coming in.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm studying, right?
Yeah, let's
It helped me.
So it's not
Yeah, exactly. All right, final word here. First thing that we do, we find our vowels. And I'm going to pick on you, Mom, this time.
Okay.
What are the vowels in this next word?
Okay.
Omicron.
You are right about that.
I'm getting there. I'm looking.
That's okay. We've discussed this before. This takes time.
Iota
Iota, perfect.
and Omicron.
Well, that's
I hate this stupid thing.
That's a diphthong thing there, isn't it?
You are really, really close. And it's one that I would sometimes get confused at the beginning, but it wasn't actually too bad for me. It's the order.
Yeah.
It's a diphthong if it's omicron iota, but that's not the order here. So you are really close, so good on that one, but it's the wrong order. Yeah. So really close, but no. All right, so Mac, how many syllables?
Two or three?
How many vowels are there?
So, okay. That's what I'm looking for, this little guy. I lose track of that.
Okay, if you look up there, he's already got them.
Yeah, I've already marked out the vowels for you.
Okay.
Yep, so there's 3 syllables, perfect.
That's where I was, I just wanted to confirm that.
You're fine, you're fine.
I understand that. I've been doing that too.
There's no harm in that, at least last time I checked. All right, so we go through and we try to figure out where the consonants go. The first omicron would pick up any consonants that are in front of it automatically, but there are none in front of it, so it's obviously not going to pick them up because they're up there. The real question is, does it pick up the one that comes after? All right, so the one that comes afterwards is psi, and so we're going to ask ourselves, okay, is it the final letter of the word? No. Is it followed by another consonant? No. But is it one of those nasty double consonants? Yes, it is. So we're going to split the psi up into p and sigma. All right, so the omicron is going to get the p part of psi. Up, yep, up. Now the iota, it automatically gets the last part of psi, which will be the sigma. So we'll have a sigma there automatically. It always gets what's in front. The question is, does it get what comes after? Well, are there any consonants that come after the iota? No. Well, that made that really easy.
And it's not a big phone, so we don't have to worry about that.
And then that final omicron, is it going to get that sigma or not?
Because it does end in a consonant.
It does end in a consonant, so will it pick it up?
Yes.
Yes, it will. It's kind of like, you know, when you're going to a party, you know, when you're back in high school, and there's only 2 people that haven't asked people out yet. Guess who's going together to the dance?
Yeah.
By default. Yeah, you're the only ones left. Yeah, it's the way it's going to happen. So that's kind of what happens there when it's the final letter in a word. It goes out by default. So our 3 syllables are going to be up. Then you get the sigma from the psi. So, well, actually, we do need to talk about how we pronounce that iota. Is that going to be the long form or the short form of iota?
Long, because the end of the word is followed by a vowel. It's followed by a vowel.
It is followed by a
So
vowel.
it'll be long.
It'll be the long form. Yeah, so it'll be up, si, os. Up, si, os. Upsias. And that is a noun, meaning evening. I have no idea how that would fit with the other words, though. That doesn't really work.
We really need to get those letters associated with their letters.
No, I think I need to do some studying this week of just the
symbol and
the symbol and the letter.
and the word. Yeah.
I mean, when I look,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flashcards. You said flashcards.
Flashcards help
so
a whole
you put
lot.
the symbol on the front and then how you pronounce it on the back.
Then all the information on the back, yeah.
Yeah. And then and so that's what I'm gonna do this week.
Yeah, that'll be great. Takes time. Takes time.
I was like,
Imagine a Greek trying to learn English.
Yeah, it would be so confusing. English is one of the worst languages. It really
What's
is.
interesting
that.
to me is how many other countries do learn English.
English, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Almost all other countries do.
all of the
teach it
countries
anyways.
learn more than one language. We're the only one that decides.
We're weird.
For English, we're just gonna stick to, you know. So
Works for me.
it used to be that we would learn Latin and Greek in high school 100 years ago.
Yeah. Well, actually, it used to be the case that if you wanted to get a ministerial degree so you could be a preacher, even if it was just a 4-year degree, you had to learn Greek well enough to debate in it.
Wow.
Not just read it, not just pronounce it, but you had to be able to do a debate in Greek. That used to be the requirement. So your preachers back then were well-educated people. Nowadays, most of them are not educated in Greek, you know, and they don't have to be super educated, and to a certain extent I get that. But back in the day, the standard was high. If you were a pastor back then, you knew your stuff.
You
Well,
went
that's
through
standard.
this
I
stuff.
like taking standard. That's a good thing.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Debating, you know, in college, when I was taking a lot of courses in college, one of the requirements was a foreign language. Okay. Well, what's the purpose of language? It's to communicate. I challenged it. Morse code. It's a language in and of itself. You
Another
can't
form of
communicate
communication.
with it. I won.
And see, I had to plus a year of French to get my foreign language.
I am
in.
not taught French.
Well, they gave me a D just so that.
All right, right now we're going to go ahead and skip the translation task. Okay, we'll be doing plenty of translation stuff in the rest of this course. So I'm going to skip through all of that, so that you guys can have time to work on homework.
Thank you.
So you guys can go ahead and get started on that. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Let's call this the